Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of A Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Cluess. And this was my Patreon book pick for this month, so every month my Patreon supporters get to vote in a poll about what book I will read and review that month. So this is the book that won for this month. If you are interested in contributing and picking some of the content for my channel in that way, I will link my Patreon on the screen. This is the first book in a YA fantasy trilogy, and it's an historical fantasy. It takes place in Victorian London. This follows our main character of Henrietta Howell, and she has magical abilities and very quickly finds out that she might be a prophesied female sorceress. There are no other female sorcerers, and she might be this prophesied sorceress that's going to help them take down the ancients, which are these like assortment, I think there's like 7 of them, of magical otherworldly monsters that came through a portal from another world a while ago, and they haven't been able to figure out how to get rid of them, and they're awful. So she is discovered by the Sorcerer Order, and everything kind of takes off from there. So first off, I mentioned this, I think on Goodreads, possibly also on Twitter. I've had this book on my shelf since BEA 2015, which was the first BEA that I ever went to. This is an arc I picked up at that BEA. I've always kept it on my shelf, but the synopsis on the BEA arc just basically says that this is the first female sorcerer in ages, and she might be the prophesied one to defeat the ancients. Because of this, I was intrigued, but I didn't actually know that it was taking place in Victorian London. And if I would have known that, I think I would have read it sooner, because I thought this was just going to be like a stock fantasy setting. And I love historical fantasy that take place specifically in Victorian London. So I would have read this so long ago. For some reason I kept it on my shelf, thank God, because I ended up really enjoying it. But I put it off for so long, and I've talked to a few other people who also just assumed that this was a typical, like, epic fantasy kind of setting. So if that's what you have been thinking, you've been putting it off for some reason, don't. So let me just get into the world building from there. So again, Victorian London, I just love that setting for fantasy worlds. So like that's one of the reasons why I even read The Infernal Devices, because I wanted that kind of setting. So if you like that kind of setting, you're going to like this. It's really well done. So it's Victorian London with magic. And there's a lot of also creatures, not only the like ancient monsters I mentioned, but also different like fae creatures and just all these different kinds of like people and paranormal creatures and like magical creatures and stuff like that, which is just fun, and they're just there and everyone accepts them because it's an alternate kind of history timeline with magic. It's great. Next, let me talk about our characters. I really liked our main character of Henrietta. She's hot-tempered, but she also has a sense of like duty and loyalty that I really liked. She really cares about others, and she has this sense of being a woman from that time period where it's not overly done where you're like trying to shake her because you're like, stop. But she also has a sense of duty to others and obligation and stuff that I feel like is a little more tied to her times, that kept it very like rooted in that history that I liked. There are some romantic elements to this and some different like guys and stuff, and I cared less about that. None of the like romance stuff gave me butterflies or anything, but I'm intrigued about later things. I will talk about that in my discussion of the book in my other video, but that part was just something that I just kind of glossed over. I didn't really care that much. Like I was neutral about it. Again, I didn't hate it, but I just was like, I'm not really here for this. But like the world building and her story was something I was very much here for. Last, let me talk about the plot. Again, just very unexpected for me because I went into this like not knowing at all what it was going to be about. So all of the like the magic and like the monsters and everything, didn't see any of that coming. There's a lot of twists in here that I didn't see coming at all either, and it just was fun. It was a fun, fast-paced romp. I really liked her writing style. Like I said, I also really liked the characters for the most part, and it was just fun and just, again, felt comforting and a very good read for, again, this time of year, this kind of like fall read. This is one of the books that I read for kind of like witchy October because I knew she had magic, and it definitely falls into that kind of like October fall feeling magic, if that makes sense to anyone. But I ended up really enjoying this book, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely plan on continuing with the series, and I am going to be doing a spoilery gush on this book to talk a little bit more about it, because it seems like it must be this like underrated, flying under the radar series that not a lot of people are knowing about. So I'm definitely glad I picked this one up. So comment down below, let me know what you thought of A Shadow Bright and Burning. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!